Have you ever woken up after retiring and thought, now what? Maybe you were excited at first. No more commutes, no deadlines, no meetings. But after the initial joy wore off, a new question crept in. What am I supposed to do with all this time? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Retirement is one of life's biggest transitions. It can feel like stepping off a moving train. Suddenly everything gets quiet. You've got decades of structure behind you and a wide open future in front of you. That's exciting, but it can also be a little daunting. Here's the good news. This next chapter of your life is a chance to rediscover yourself, to explore passions you never had time for, to get curious, to grow. And one of the best ways to do that is by trying out new hobbies. Now, I know some folks hear hobbies and think of knitting or stamp collecting, but hobbies are so much more than that. They're powerful tools for staying mentally sharp, emotionally grounded, socially connected, and even physically healthy. Let's start with a bit of science. A study published in the Journal of Occupational and Organizational Psychology found that retirees who engage in regular hobbies experience greater life satisfaction and lower levels of stress. And another study out of Japan, where people are living longer than almost anywhere else, linked purposeful leisure activities to improved brain function and reduced risk of dementia. Simply put, hobbies don't just fill your time, they enrich your life. In this video, we're going to explore exactly how to find new hobbies after retirement, especially if you're not sure where to start. We'll look at practical steps, inspiring examples, and real-life stories of people who found unexpected joy in surprising places. And hey, before we keep going, I'd love your help with something. If you're enjoying this video so far, comment Y below. If not, comment N. It helps me know what's working and what to improve. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Now let's dive deeper. Let's begin with one of the most natural but overlooked ways to explore new hobbies, revisiting childhood interests. You'd be surprised how often our earliest passions still hold a spark. Maybe you loved painting as a kid, but gave it up when life got busy. Or perhaps you played an instrument, wrote stories, built model airplanes. Whatever it was, those early passions leave a fingerprint on us. Retirement is your chance to revisit them, not for money or productivity, but just for joy. I know someone, let's call him Jim, who retired after 35 years in IT. For months, he didn't know what to do with himself. One day, cleaning out the garage, he found an old set of watercolors he hadn't touched since college. Just for fun, he set up a little painting station by the window. Fast forward a year, he's now part of a local artists group, has sold a few paintings at craft fairs, and says he hasn't felt this creatively alive since he was 20. Now maybe painting's not your thing, and that's totally okay. The goal isn't to be good at something. It's just to explore. Think of retirement like a personal buffet. You don't have to stick to one dish. You get to sample everything. Which brings us to a second insight. Don't be afraid to try something completely new and uncomfortable. In fact, the more unfamiliar it feels, the more potential it has to stretch and grow you. Let's talk about something called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to form new neural connections throughout life. And guess what helps it the most? Learning new, challenging things, especially things that involve coordination, problem-solving, or creativity. Picking up a musical instrument, learning a new language, even trying out dance classes. All of these keep your brain agile and engaged. And I get it, trying something new as an adult can feel awkward. You walk into a pottery class or a Tai Chi group and suddenly feel like the new kid in school. But here's the thing, everyone else there probably felt the same way once. And the more often you step into that discomfort, the more confidence you build. Here's a fun example. A woman I met recently, we'll call her Maria, retired from teaching at age 62. She had zero athletic background, but on a whim, she signed up for a beginner's rock climbing class at her local gym. She was terrified at first, but now, she climbs every week and even goes on outdoor climbing trips with new friends. I never imagined this would be part of my retirement, she told me, but it's helped me feel stronger than I've felt in years, mentally and physically. Isn't that what we all want? To feel alive? If you're still unsure where to begin, start by asking yourself these 3 questions. 1. What have I always been curious about, but never had time for? 2. What makes me lose track of time when I do it? 3. Who do I admire, and what do they spend time doing? Jot down your answers. Talk to friends. Visit community centers, art co-ops, or even browse Meetup or YouTube. You'd be amazed what's out there: woodworking, calligraphy, gardening, creative writing, astronomy, salsa dancing, photography, home brewing. The list goes on. And don't worry about becoming an expert. Just focus on having fun, connecting with others, and seeing where it leads. Sometimes a small spark leads to a whole new identity. In fact, in the next part of this video, we'll talk about how hobbies aren't just hobbies. They can actually protect your mental and emotional health. We'll dive into the science of purpose, how hobbies reduce loneliness, and some practical ideas you can try this week to start feeling more fulfilled and energized. So stick with me, we're just getting started, and the best is yet to come. Before we begin, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Alright, let's get back to it. We left off talking about trying new hobbies not just for fun, but because they can truly change how you feel, mentally, physically, emotionally. And that's not just feel-good fluff. There's science to back it up. Let's talk about purpose. One of the most important human needs, right up there with food, shelter, and connection, is a sense of meaning. In fact, a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that older adults with a strong sense of purpose were significantly less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease and even had lower overall mortality rates. Think about that. Having something meaningful to look forward to each day can literally help you live longer and healthier. And that's where hobbies come in. They give your days shape. They create moments of flow, that feeling where you're completely immersed in something, not thinking about time or stress or what's next. Flow is powerful. It boosts mood, reduces anxiety, and can even improve immune function. Take gardening, for instance. On the surface, it might seem like just digging around in the dirt, but it's also a form of mindfulness. You're outdoors, moving your body, nurturing something, watching it grow. Studies have shown that gardening can reduce cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress, and improve overall well-being. Plus, let's be honest, there's nothing quite like eating a tomato you grew yourself. Or how about joining a book club? It's not just reading, it's community. It's conversation. It's seeing familiar faces, sharing perspectives, laughing about plot twists, even disagreeing over characters. That kind of social interaction is a huge protective factor as we age. According to the National Institute on Aging, maintaining strong social connections can help reduce the risk of depression and cognitive decline. And speaking of community, this is a big one. Don't try to do it all alone. It's easy to think hobbies are solo activities, something you do in your own little bubble. But the truth is, the most fulfilling ones often involve other people. Whether it's joining a local choir, taking a community college class, or participating in a walking group, doing something with others creates bonds. Those shared experiences, they become stories. They become memories. They become friendships. I met a man named Ron who started playing pickleball after retiring at 68. He didn't even know what it was at first, just heard people at the park talking about it. Fast forward 6 months, and he's playing 3 times a week. He told me, "I didn't realize how much I missed being around a team. We're all different ages and backgrounds, but on the court, we just have fun. And you know what? That fun matters." Now I know, sometimes getting started is the hardest part, especially if you're dealing with something deeper. Retirement can bring up a lot of emotions. For some, it's relief. For others, it's a sense of loss. Identity, routine, purpose, they all shift. And if you're feeling a little down or stuck, that's okay. It's normal. But here's something powerful to keep in mind. You're not starting over, you're just starting something new. And that new thing doesn't have to be big or life-changing right away. Start small. Try something for just 20 minutes. One short walk. One YouTube tutorial on watercolor techniques. One community center visit to see what classes are offered. You don't have to commit. You're just exploring. Think of it like dating your future passions. You don't marry the first one you meet. Another tip: follow your natural rhythm. If you're more energized in the mornings, try active hobbies like walking, yoga, or nature photography. If evenings are your creative time, explore writing, crafting, or cooking new recipes. Don't fight your energy, flow with it. And if mobility is an issue, or if you're caregiving and can't always get out of the house, there are still so many options. Virtual classes, Zoom book clubs, online painting tutorials. Technology has made the world of hobbies so much more accessible. I know a woman who started learning Spanish at 70 through an app and now chats online with people from Spain every week. She told me, "It makes me feel like I'm traveling, even from my living room." The point is, the possibilities are endless. And once you try one thing, you'll start seeing more opportunities around you. One retired couple I know, Bill and Sandra, started volunteering at a local animal shelter. It wasn't something they planned. They just stopped by one afternoon and ended up helping walk the dogs. A year later, it's become their favorite part of the week. "We thought we were helping them," Bill said, "but really they helped us." That's the beauty of this phase in life. You're no longer bound by a career or raising kids. You get to choose. You get to play. You get to say, "Why not?" more often. And don't worry if something doesn't stick. Not every hobby will be the one. But each time you try something new, you learn a little more about yourself, and that's always worth it. So what's next? In the upcoming section, we'll explore how to overcome common mental roadblocks like fear of failure, perfectionism, or the dreaded, "I'm too old for this" mindset. We'll also look at how hobbies can support not just your mental health, but your emotional resilience and sense of identity. Trust me, if you've ever said to yourself, "It's too late for me to start something new," you're going to want to hear this next part. Stick around, because this journey is just getting better. Hey again! Before we jump in, if you haven't yet, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop a quick "Y" if you're enjoying this journey, or an "N" if you want me to switch things up. It really helps me shape content that works for you. Now let's talk about something almost everyone faces when discovering new hobbies after retirement: the mental roadblocks. You know what I mean, those little voices inside that say, "I'm too old to learn this," or "I'm not good enough," or "What if I fail?" If those thoughts sound familiar, you're not alone. Heck, even the most successful hobbyists I know deal with them. Here's the truth: these thoughts are normal, but they don't have to control you. Psychologists call this kind of thinking a fixed mindset, believing your abilities and interests are set in stone. But research by Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck shows us that embracing a growth mindset, believing you can learn and improve no matter your age, makes all the difference. The brain literally changes when you push yourself to learn something new, no matter if you're 30 or 80. I want to share a story about a woman named Helen. She retired from nursing in her late 60s and felt a bit lost. Painting seemed interesting, but she told herself, "I'm not an artist, I'll never be good enough." One day, after much hesitation, she signed up for a beginner's class. The first few weeks were awkward. Her lines were shaky, her colors off. But instead of giving up, she showed up again and again. After a year, she was so confident she held a small exhibit at her local library. Helen said to me, "I learned it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up and enjoying the process." That changed everything. The lesson? Give yourself permission to be a beginner. There's no finish line or test. Hobbies are about the journey, not perfection. Another challenge is fear of failure or embarrassment. Trying something new can feel vulnerable. Maybe you worry about looking silly in a dance class, fumbling through gardening, or messing up a recipe in cooking. That's totally natural, but vulnerability is also a gateway to growth. Brené Brown, the renowned researcher on courage and vulnerability, reminds us that vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Imagine if you let go of that fear and just allowed yourself to explore. Imagine how many doors could open. Here's something else to remember: you don't have to do this alone. Sometimes a buddy system can make all the difference. Maybe your spouse, a friend, or a neighbor joins you. Or you find a group of people your age learning the same hobby. There's magic in shared laughter, encouragement, and even mutual failures. On that note, I know a group of retirees who started meeting monthly to learn ballroom dancing. None of them had danced seriously before. Some stumbled, some laughed till they cried, but over time they grew not only better dancers but close friends. For them, The social connection was just as important as the dance steps. And speaking of social connection, emotional health often ties closely with how we see ourselves. Retirement can sometimes feel like losing part of our identity, especially if we strongly associated ourselves with our careers. But hobbies give you a fresh way to define yourself. Instead of "I'm a teacher" or "I'm a lawyer," you get to be "I'm a painter," "I'm a gardener," or "I'm a runner." That shift can be incredibly empowering. Science supports this too. Studies in positive psychology show that pursuing hobbies increases feelings of autonomy and self-worth, which are critical for aging with grace and happiness. When you actively engage in things that matter to you, you're building a sense of purpose every day. Now, what about motivation? How do you keep the momentum going when the initial excitement fades? One powerful habit is to schedule your hobbies like appointments. If you don't, life's distractions can creep in and slowly push your new passion to the sidelines. Put it on your calendar, morning, afternoon, or evening. Treat it as a non-negotiable gift to yourself. Another motivator is tracking small wins. Say you're learning to knit. Celebrate that first completed scarf, or even the first decent-looking stitch. These moments build positive feedback loops, making you want to keep going. And don't be afraid to switch gears if something no longer excites you. Retirement gives you the freedom to explore multiple interests. What matters most is that your hobbies feed your soul, keep your mind active, and connect you to others. Before we move on to the final part, I want to leave you with this. Aging isn't about slowing down. It's about moving forward differently. It's a new kind of adventure. You don't have to do everything perfectly or quickly. Just keep taking small steps. If you ever feel stuck or discouraged, remember Helen, Jim, Maria, Ron, Bill, Sandra, and all the others who started small and found joy, connection, and even purpose in unexpected places. You can do the same. And coming up next, we'll wrap all this up with some practical takeaways you can start right now, plus a final scientific insight that will inspire you to live your best life every day, no matter your age. You're doing great, hang tight. The best is yet to come. So here we are, wrapping up this journey together. Over the last few minutes, we've talked about how discovering new hobbies after retirement isn't just about filling time. It's about enriching your life in ways that boost your mind, body, and soul. It's about reclaiming purpose, joy, and connection. Let's quickly recap some of the key takeaways before you head out. First, remember that retirement is a chance to revisit old interests and explore new ones without pressure. Whether it's painting, gardening, dancing, or something completely unexpected, hobbies give you a chance to feel alive and creative. Second, don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Those mental roadblocks, "I'm too old," "I'm not good enough," they're just stories you can rewrite. Every expert was once a beginner, and every step forward counts. Third, prioritize connection. Hobbies that bring you together with others, whether in person or online, help protect against loneliness and boost your emotional well-being. Fourth, make your hobbies a regular part of your routine. Treat them like appointments with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to pivot when something no longer sparks joy. And finally, know that you're building more than skills. You're building resilience, purpose, and a richer sense of self. Retirement is not an end, but a beautiful new beginning. Here's one last scientific insight to leave you with. Dr. Gene Cohen, a pioneer in aging and creativity research, found that older adults who engage in creative activities show greater cognitive resilience, meaning their brains stay sharper for longer. The act of learning, creating, and connecting isn't just fun, it's a form of mental fitness. So, what can you do right now? Start small. Maybe pull out an old notebook and jot down some hobbies you've been curious about, or take a 10-minute walk to a nearby community center and ask about classes. Maybe watch a YouTube tutorial on something new. The key is to take that first step. And remember, it's all about the journey, not the destination. The joy comes from showing up, trying, and connecting. We'd really love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or questions you want answered, write to us in the comments below. We're here to help, and your input could inspire our next video. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical tips for healthy aging. Here's to living your best life at any age.